All right, good evening. It is 6 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, thank you all for coming tonight. We're going to be discussing Clay County's allocation for HUD funding. This is Housing and Urban Development, federal dollars coming to us based on our population and size for community development block grant funds. So tonight we'll be discussing next year's allocation and how those funds can be utilized in our communities. So we appreciate your input. Just so you know, the meeting will be recorded. This is part of the grant program itself. We publish the meeting minutes online so others can see what comments have been received throughout the public meeting. So go ahead and do a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, we do have some green comment cards on the back table there. So if you have comments that you would like to submit directly to us in writing, you can do that. You can also take them and give them to other friends or neighbors who might have input. We have a sign-in sheet on the back table too. That helps us with all of our grant documentation, so we do appreciate you signing in. My name is Megan Covey. I'm the grants director at the county, and our director of community and social services, Gabrielle Gunn, is here tonight too, so she'll be facilitating some of our discussion. I want to give you just an overview of the document that you have in front of you. It's called the Annual Action Plan, and this is essentially our grant application we submit every year to receive funding. So the Annual Action Plan serves the application for funding and describes the activities and projects that will be undertaken during the next fiscal year. Activities and projects are selected for funding in accordance with the priorities established in the county's 2021 to 2025 CDBG Consolidated Plan, which is available on our website. And funded activities are required to serve at least one of three CDBG national objectives. The first is to benefit low and moderate income persons. The second is to aid in the prevention or elimination of slum or blight. And the third is to meet a community development need of urgency. The FY 24-25 Annual Action Plan includes the activities and projects listed below, which I will read, to be funded under this year's program. So right now, the projected allocation for Clay County is $1,319,000, and our proposed activity allocations are as follows. We've tentatively allocated $350,112 for housing rehab and $650,207 for public infrastructure. And we have this up here on the board, so we'll refer to it throughout the night. But these are activities we have funded since the beginning of receiving the funding. So that's part of why it's our baseline for discussion. So with that, I think I'll hand it over to Gabby.
Thank you, Megan. All right, so for tonight, you all should have received a comment card. So if there at any time during tonight's discussion you don't feel comfortable raising your hand or speaking, feel free to put that on the comment card and they will be collected afterwards. You'll see right here we have some group agreements. We like to do this just so that everyone can agree on the environment of tonight. Some of the group agreements we've come up with from previous meetings is first, be hard on the issue, not the person. Second, one speaker at a time. And then third, be respectful. Is there any other group agreement that you guys would like to add to this list tonight? Can we all agree that we are going to abide by these group agreements this evening? Yes, wonderful. We really appreciate that. And then secondly, we have a parking lot. This is where we will put some of those questions or things that were not quite to that section, but we will make sure that we answer at the end. So if we say we're going to add that to the parking lot, we're just going to add it right here to this page, and we'll talk about it later on during the evening. So we really like to start off the evening on a positive note. So we're going to ask. We're going to start with a beginning discussion, and then we're going to have a main discussion. And so for tonight's beginning discussion, the question is, what qualities make up a vibrant neighborhood or community? And so one at a time, we'd like for you to answer the question. If at any time we are up here writing, Megan's going to write for us, and it's not exactly what you want it to say, please feel free to stop us. Let us know that this is what you would like it to say, and we'll make sure that that gets input into meeting notes. We want to make sure that what you're saying is well represented on the notes for this evening. So one more time, the question is, what qualities make up a vibrant neighborhood or community? Would you like to?
Well, I like to walk, so I think having sidewalks
Okay,
that are functional, not having to be attacked by neighborhood dogs that
okay.
the neighbors keep their dogs on leashes when they let them loose.
Okay, so I'm hearing two things. So I'm hearing sidewalks,
Yes,
and I'm also hearing safety while walking on the sidewalks.
correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. Yes, ma'am.
I think also our communities and our neighborhoods should be well lit.
Okay, thank you. Well-lit neighborhoods.
Well planned out park situations.
Well-planned out parks, okay.
Playgrounds.
Playgrounds, parks, okay. Sir, would you like to add to the conversation?
I am just taking it in right now.
Okay, that's fine. No pressure.
We live across the street from the Athletic Association,
Which one?
the one on Gaina.
Okay, OPAA.
And as a whole, we're very pleased with what's going on over there.
Okay,
They take care of the kids, they take care of the park. Playground is great. We got, we're doing a good job as far as I'm concerned.
okay.
Well managed, they're very well.
Yes, very
Okay,
well.
so I'm hearing you say well-managed parks.
Yes.
Okay, that's what makes up a vibrant community. Okay. Any other additions? You can say multiple, or we can leave it at the one for each. There is no wrong answer tonight. And we want your voice to be heard. Any other additions? One last time. What qualities make up a vibrant neighborhood or community?
Having a meeting room.
Could you elaborate on that?
A meeting room, like, I know when I was, in college,
Mm-hmm.
most of the apartment complexes had meeting rooms. They kind of got away from that, but that was nice because then you knew that you could have parties for your children, parties for the student, and they would be in a safe environment,
Mhm.
and the cost was right.
So would you consider that as a public meeting space? Or an event space?
Yes, but for the neighborhood.
Okay, specifically for the neighborhood.
A visible and active policing and fire department.
Okay,
Can I have be a devil's advocate, if I can say that, if not, on the building in our neighborhoods, that only increases our taxes in our neighborhoods. It'd also be responsible for that building. That sounds more like an HOA type program versus a program that we have that we don't have. So I don't see that what house would be obligated to hold those meetings. So that is a vague opening there that could cause a lot of way out there talking. So it is a thought, but
no, and I understand your feedback, and I think collectively, when we think about this, we can either think about it as in a specific area, or we can think about it as a county as a whole. So when we are talking and giving input tonight, it's not on a specific thing or specific area, it could be all collectively.
But going by communities and neighborhoods,
Mhm.
that is defined in certain areas
Mhm.
regardless. I'm just making sure.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't want to start something like that.
Okay.
Our taxes are bad enough.
Thank you for your input. Any other feedback before we move on to the main discussion?
How many, I'm new to the area, this really.
Okay.
How many communities are considered to be in Clay County?
I would need to know what how you
Exactly.
define as community.
That's the question that comes out too, what's the definition of community? It's gonna be different to different people, obviously, it's gonna be the neighborhood, it's gonna be
As a
an
whole.
area, or, I mean, that's the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah, we could think of Clay County as a community, we could think of each district as a community, each area, city, so we could say Middleburg, Lake Asbury, Green Cove, Orange Park, those are all.
Is it the town, is the town considered a community, or is it a town? Or is it I guess that's kind of the question, because you've got all different pieces of the pie. So
It's however you perceive it as being. What do
Well,
you?
it's not just me, it's how everybody perceives it.
No, totally understandable, but you are here to give input, so
Right.
it's based off of what you
That's
feel.
fine. Okay.
Any other feedback before we move on? All right, we appreciate your feedback on this, and we're gonna move on to the main discussion of the evening. All right, so for the main discussion, we're gonna have two parts. Two questions. The first question is, what kind of neighborhood infrastructure needs to be implemented to create a safer living environment? This can be, as we said previously, it could be specific on an area, community, neighborhood, or it could be in Clay County as a whole. So, again, what kind of neighborhood infrastructure needs to be implemented to create a safer living environment?
Besides the lighting
Mhm.
in the neighborhoods, ensuring that that's something available for the neighborhoods.
Do you consider lighting to be an infrastructure need?
Absolutely. Our children can get outside and be able to walk the neighborhood and not have to fear in the dark. They
Mhm.
have well-lit areas to where they could actually know what their surroundings are. And obviously, us adults will also have that same feeling.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Proper signing, stop
Okay.
signs, proper,
Proper signage for safety?
yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
You know, I think it's very hard for at least us to sit here and be critics about what's going on in Orange Park versus the county. I don't know about everybody else, but my wife's been here for 36 years. I've been here for 32 years. I don't look at the county.
And that's okay.
I really don't. I don't look at the county. I look at the town of Orange Park and what they do for us in respect to the police, and everything else that's going on. I mean, this is a great town, and I'm sorry, but I can't come up with anything that's negative.
And that's okay. That's okay. We appreciate
You know?
your feedback.
I really can't.
We're
That's
very
okay.
happy.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're happy to have you here tonight.
Exactly.
Thank you. All right, any other things? I'll repeat the question one more time. What kind of neighborhood infrastructure needs to be implemented to create a safer living environment?
Are there neighborhood watches in the different communities here in the county?
There are some,
No.
but do you think that would create a safer environment in
For
the?
some, feeling safer probably, again, go back to safety signage and going back to first responders and
Mhm.
fire, things like that.
Neighborhood watch programs?
Yeah.
Okay,
Then again, that the police, fire, and first responders get involved with also, not just lip service.
yes. Thank you for your feedback. Anything else?
I agree with him. There's a lot there are things that are going on that I don't think we have a good grip on. I mean, in our neighborhoods.
So you do think that needs to be something that, it needs to be improved upon, so communication?
Definitely communication.
Yeah, I would say communication.
And what kind of communication would you like to see? Would you like to see, newspapers? Would you like to see social media emails? Would you like to see, what kinds of things would help to improve that communication?
I like his idea of the neighborhood watch. I think that's a very good thing, and I think sometimes we tend to overlook that, and we really don't
Mhm.
get together with our neighbors. I mean, we've got neighbors in our neighborhood, and we're on a cul-de-sac
Mhm.
that after 32 years, I don't know who they are.
And that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Everybody right
Yeah.
now. Everybody's scared to talk to their neighbors.
Exactly.
Okay. So maybe a collaborative program with our neighbors.
Well, that, I think, is the responsibility of individuals. So we are the ones that are either can help it or not help it. We are the ones that needs to reach out and to continue moving towards the ones that just moved in.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that the program of neighborhood watches is not I don't agree with that. I feel that I like the idea when I see my undercover police officers park at the entrance of my cul-de-sac.
Mm-hmm.
The two things come to my mind is get all my family members away from windows. And the other one is, why, I know that they're in the middle of whatever they're doing, but it would have been nice to be able to be aware of what's going on in the cul-de-sac, because we obviously, the assumption is, they're watching what's coming and going into that one way in and one way out.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you are concerned with seeing a police presence in what they're doing in the area. So you would like to see some communication on why.
It would be nice, but I mean, I appreciate what they're doing because they couldn't reveal, hey, and I wouldn't be daring to go out there and knocking on their window saying, hey, what are you doing? No, those are the things that happens,
Okay.
and thank God they take care of it with very little incident. But the idea is that what could we do? What would a community be able to do? Because I know my police officers. I don't know too many of my fire department guys, but I'm so thankful that I know these guys and I respect them in all their hard work. But it does concern me sometimes that
Okay. I think maybe we could talk about the Safer Watch app that we have. Not sure if you have
The
that. There's an app called Safer Watch, and that that's
no,
something that we can talk about offline.
sounds wonderful.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other feedback before we move on to the second question?
So we have some infrastructure on this board. Do we want to discuss any of that? See if it needs to be here or not?
So up here we put what qualities make up a vibrant community. We said sidewalks that are safe, well-lit, well-planned parks, playgrounds, well-managed parks, meeting spaces for neighbors, and visible active police and fire department.
And those are all eligible CDBG expenditures, so
Very good.
just want to make sure we covered everything here in terms of infrastructure for communities.
Anything else you'd like to add? No? Okay, well, we can go on to the second question. The second question is, what types of specific projects would you like to see within these budget categories? So as a reminder, up here for this next year, we have housing rehab at $350,000, $112. Public infrastructure is about $650,000. So when we think about projects and putting those into those two categories, what types of specific projects would you like to see within these budget categories? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So, I know it's probably an app that I can go to and figure it out, but on County Road, 209, they're building sidewalks. But for now, we don't see any lights, and the sidewalks are kind of like weird, because the only way to get to them look like is from someone's yard.
Okay.
So the sidewalks are not in front of our houses, so therefore we don't have access to these sidewalks. So it kind of goes to the question of lighting. I guess because County Road 209 was a rural road before.
Okay, so you're asking for lighting on 209.
Yes.
Is there a specific area that you're referring to?
The sidewalks that they just built, I guess for walking,
Okay.
are not well lit.
Okay.
They're not lit at all. As a matter of fact, it's scary even driving because there's very few lights.
And so you also did mention that there weren't sidewalks in front of your neighborhood to connect to that. Is that a specific area that you're willing to share?
Well, we're further down on 209. So
What would that specifically be?
It's a nursery. Let's see, what is the nursery called?
Oh, Blooming,
Yeah,
the Blooming Nursery.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we're on that section.
Okay.
And it looks like they built the sidewalks further down by the new housing area.
Yes.
It's not new anymore, but.
I know which
Cross-street,
project
yes.
you're referring to, and that's part of our bonded transportation program. And you can learn more about that on our county website, and you can
Okay.
see the things that are happening there.
Okay.
But thank you for your feedback.
Sidewalk connectivity between developments? Is that
Exactly.
accurate? Okay.
Great. All right, any other project recommendations? I'll repeat the question. What types of specific projects would you like to see within these two budget categories?
You're saying housing rehabilitation?
Yes.
So that's really broad as far as the housing rehabilitation. So again, we're talking about low and moderate income. And so then what? Are we reaching out to what part of the community are we reaching out to get these, offering these specifics?
Thank you for that question. So currently our housing rehab can be in a specific area that is qualified as LMI, or it can be to an individual that is also considered LMI. In that time frame, the way that we receive clients, it could be through our public communications department, so it can be through our newspapers or through our social media sites or word of mouth. We have a lot of different avenues that we post on application period that's open, and then we also do share it with our nonprofit community that pushes it out to their clients as well. So we have a bunch of different avenues when we're advertising for the application being open to the area.
Thank you.
Did you have a project in mind for that specific category?
No, I was just looking at the possibility of maybe a neighbor that is a very elderly senior that desperately needs some repairs. And unbeknowing their financial capabilities, but without intruding on their personal lives, it would be something to check out or something like that, to know that it's
Share.
available.
Okay, that's good to know.
And is there any pamphlets of any kind that y'all provide? I guess going on the internet and all this other stuff is just not conducive to our elderly society.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you'd like to see a marketing plan for how people can hear about the available programming.
Yes.
Okay.
Specific elderly people.
For the elderly population.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any of that at our senior centers.
That is one of the projects that fall under my shop. Outside of this programming is the 4 senior centers in Clay County. So that is definitely a great project that we're going to put on here and see what we can do.
Fantastic, thank you.
Yes. Again, there's no wrong answer.
So for the housing rehab, the person has to be a senior citizen?
No.
Or do they have to just be a need?
They have to qualify into the HUD guidelines for low to moderate income. We haven't really heard much about, both of these. We'd love to hear your projects about that could fit into these budget categories. This is your time to shine.
I didn't have coffee today, but I will keep talking, I'm sorry.
How much of these monies go specifically to different organizations like Park and Recreation and things like that? Is there a limit that each organization is allowed to use, or?
So currently, right now, we do not have that in our annual action plan. We as a county whole, Parks and Rec falls into our county government, so that is a department.
Doesn't fall into this money then?
It could, but it would be great to hear what kind of park you're referring to that might need a project.
Again, I'm newer to the area. I'm asking this question because where I'm coming from, I was in a Park and Recreation Commission for the last 8 years,
Okay.
doing some things up there for my community. And it's a big operation. We're one of the biggest counties in the state of Maryland.
Okay.
And we did quite a few things, and I was involved in quite a few different projects, and planning parks and into the future. I mean, we're planning out 10, 15 years ahead of time and stuff like that.
Yes.
So again, that's why I see this, and we get, every year we have allocations too that come up, and the state gives us, like this year we had $100,000, and people apply the same way they're gonna apply to us with different things that they wanna do with their specific areas. The stipulation being that there has to be public access to it. It cannot be an HOA that limited to things. It could be HOA, but again, once they accept the monies, now you have to have total access. It's not a matter of limiting it just to the neighborhood and stuff like that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you would like this funding to entertain the idea of possibly funding parks and recs that are in need.
Absolutely, if
Okay.
there is a need, that's the question.
Okay. Thank you for that. Are there specific projects that you would like to see come to the area?
Again, I don't know, again, being so new, I don't want to ask questions, I might have already been, things are happening already.
No, that's okay, but you can still share.
Like summer camps and things like that, you do summer camps.
Summer programming,
Yeah, for the children, out of junior high school and things like that.
is there a specific program that you are referring to?
Again, we've got thousands of kids that are involved with it, and there's a multitude of
Yes.
subjects and topics that these children are involved with and stuff like that we fund every year. And again, it's a huge program, so that's just.
So I'm assuming that you were not a part of the master planning for Parks and Recreation.
For
Clay County?
No, not at all.
Oh, I will connect with you offline because we are still in an open comment period for that one.
Okay. I did actually, the survey that came out a few weeks ago, I did fill that out.
Great, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. All right, any other things? So funding for park projects?
Public infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that include the vacant properties that are all over the landing and 17 and that are overgrown and yet, are those the type of things or not?
So specifically for those projects, it's very hard because those are privately owned. There aren't things that we can do for private property with this funding. If organizations don't agree to it. So they would have to show a need, they'd have to qualify for specific things. We could do community cleanups, but it would have to be public partnership.
Gotcha. Public infrastructure.
Did you have something else you'd like to add?
Oh, I was just wondering, so, I was telling you, we're, Palmetto CDC, which is a 501(c), and one of the things, the building that we're trying to rehab, one of the things we wanted to be able to provide was help to senior citizens, that almost everything now, you have to be able to get on the computer and do it, pay your bills, They don't want you to get paper copies anymore. And so that was one of the things that we wanted to provide. So would that make us eligible for the public infrastructure? Or-
We would not qualify public infrastructure with private property at this time. That's not to say that we couldn't work on projects outside of that, with this funding. So that is something that we could talk about offline.
Okay.
But it kind of sounded like you would like to see some sort of programming from the library.
Yes.
And did you have a specific program that you had in mind?
Well, like I said earlier, we did when I was with Circle of Hope, we did a summer program that was for golf. We, First Tee and the, I'm trying to think what it's called. The Golfing Association, PGA, gives you funding to carry this out, but you need to have a location so that you can provide food to the youth and also other structured classes.
Okay.
So on nutrition, on how to be a good citizen, things of that nature.
Okay.
And so that's one of the reasons we need to rehab that building.
Okay. Was there a specific program that you would like to see come out of the libraries?
Summer reading.
Okay. Anything else?